Hello, I'm Erin Halvorsen, and welcome to Rugs by Erin. Today we're going to be teaching you how to do this turtle rug. I'm pretty excited about this. This was a fun rug to make. There's one example. This is going to be the one that you're actually going to be making with this type of a foot. I'm going to also show you my original prototype because this one came out really cute too, but I think it's too difficult to teach. So we're going to change it up a little bit, but I want you to see it because the colors are completely different, and I want you to get an idea of this color scheme of something else you could do. Both of these were prints, the children's prints, both of these, and I just added this little bit of color. This is not necessary for you to add this extra little color places in here, but I think it really adds to the rug. See how I did it here too? I think it really adds to the rug. It's not necessary, but I will teach you how to do that as well. Okay, this one's got a little different head. You can change it up a little bit if you'd like to do that, but I just wanted to share this cute little rug with you. And so this is the rug that we are going to be making, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in to talking about our tools and getting started. Okay, so my cameraman is my husband Lyle, and he'll be helping me today as he always does. I've got this really cute little pouch, crochet pouch that I'm carrying now on my website, and there's several other designs, but I just wanted to show you how great it is for keeping your stuff in here organized. In here are my tools that I'm going to be using. I'll just pull these out, and over here is a bunch of, it's a two-part compartment. Here is the crochet hooks that I use the most, so I'm going to have them in here, and we're going to use this cherry wood that I had made for me to make my arm feel more comfortable when I was crocheting. I was having a real issue with my hand and my forearm bothering me a lot. I kept on looking for other things, and I was looking something for our industry, and I found this gentleman that designed this for me, and actually now I've decided that I love it so much that I'm carrying this as well on my website. It has a longer throat here, it has a flat spot here, and a bigger ergonomic little handle here, so my hand rests there easy. A lot of these, when you get a nice handle here, this is not a long enough throat here, and it is not conducive to making a rag rug, so you might want to check that out. If not, feel free to use a Q or an N or a P. This would be a P size, and so this is what I'm using, but you can use an N all the way through a Q, or even something bigger if you wanted to, but this is what we're going to be using, which would be basically a P, which is a 14 on this one. P fits in several different things. You're going to need a hook. I'm going to use some stitch markers. I also keep those on my site because I decided I love those things too. And then you're going to also need a tapestry needle. I advocate that you don't use a plastic one. They're just a teeny bit cheaper, but barely. And you can see that little place there. That's really a helpful little tool, very inexpensive, and always a good pair of scissors. So this just happens to be what I have. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm not going to linger too much on the basics. A lot of you, I'm going to think, have crocheted before, but I am still going to cover it for those of you who have not. And you can replay this if you need to. We're only going to start with 8 chain stitches. So Mr. Cameraman, if you come around the side of me, we could go ahead and, I don't know if that's in the way of you. We're going to go ahead and show them how to go ahead and get started. We're going to make a slip knot, which you're going to take the long end and cross it over and pull it through. And that's your slip knot. I put it in like this and keep the shorter piece hanging down here. This is a 1.5 inch strip. You could go 1.5 to 2 inches. If you're going to use an N hook, you might want to use 1.25 to 1.5. So you kind of have to adjust. If it's really thick fabric, you may want to reduce a little bit. There's certain fabrics I've come across, and sticking just with that exact size, sometimes you need to reduce it so it's comfortable and works the same way. So you'll have to kind of work with that. So we're going to do 8 chain stitches. We cross over and pull it through. Cross over and pull it through. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this is sheet yarn. I don't advocate you use just fabric. When you use fabric, it's not going to wash as well, so you're going to want to use it and make it out of used sheets. That's going to be what I suggest is your best product to be using with this. Okay, after you get your 8 chain stitches, we're going to go back. This is the stitch that you've just come out of. We're going to skip that and go in here. You're going to put your crochet hook into the hole, grab your material over the top, pull it through. You have 2 pieces on there. Cross over and pull them both through. Okay, there's 1. This is the only 2 stitches you're going to use for the whole thing, so this is really easy. Going to go into the next hole, cross, grab your material. Now you have 2. Cross over and pull them both off. I'm going to move just a little faster. Cameraman, you won't want to stay focused right here though. Go in, grab your material, pull them both off. You're going to work this to the end. Grab your material, cross over, pull them both off. I'm going to show you how to get around this corner and get rid of a tail. I'm going to go in. So I'm going to move along here till we get to the end so I can show you how. I'm working my tail in a little different than I did in the early years of me making rugs. I found this way is a little less frustrating, possibly. You can use a different technique. You can also use your tapestry needle at the end if you want to do that. Okay, so you've come into this last hole. I think I'm going to use that one too. No, I'm not. Okay, so you've got 1. We're going to do 3 stitches in this last hole. You have 1. You're going to go in. This is 2 in the same exact hole. So that's 2 stitches in that last hole. Okay, so we're done. Let me show you how I add some material. Fold it over. This is going to be the no-sew method. You got this little snip here. This has got a seam on it. Okay, on it, because I happen to sew it on this one. You can rip your sheet yarn, or you can sew it, and I show you in a video on YouTube how to do that. There's several videos, and there's one whole playlist dedicated to sheet yarn, so feel free to view those and get some different techniques. There's not just one way to do it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and snip this off. You're going to take both the ends of the one you're adding, fold them over, excuse me, put a little snip in there. Now we're going to add them to the one that's here. You have to remember, this is the one that was the tail. This is the one that we're working with. I've done it before where I've connected it to the wrong one. So kind of pay attention to that. Probably many of you have already seen my other videos, but here you put this over the top of it, the place that you're adding, the one that you're adding, and you're going to put the other end of the same piece. This is one piece, this is the other end. You're going to take the other end of the one you slipped on top, push it through that hole, and then you're going to pull the whole thing through. This is adding material. You'll probably see me add it in other places in this video, and you'll get another look at it. Okay, so we had 2 stitches in this one hole. We're going to go in a 3rd time in the same hole, grab your material, and that's 3. 3 in your initial. Okay, now we're going to take, here's your tail. We're going to lay this across the edge here. Okay, and we're going to blend it in. So now we're going to go into the next hole. This was 3 in here, and we're going to go into this next hole. Go into the hole, grab your material. Remember, this is the tail here that you're laying flat. Get your 2 there, cross over and pull them both off. You're slowly hiding that tail. See, that tail is laying across there? See how it's laying across there? Okay, we're going to go into the next hole. Grab your material, cross over, and pull them both off. Okay. Keeping your material laying there. Next hole. I'm going to show you this next corner, and then we're going to move to a bigger piece. a bigger oval that I've already got moved along, so you can see how to move it along. Okay, so we're moving right along on this. You can see these threads. It's pretty typical with sheet yarn. Some of it's worse than others. You're going to want to use 100% cotton, or at the most amount of polyester is 50%. The more cotton you use, I prefer. You're not going to want to use any synthetic sheets at all. Only cotton or cotton poly blends. Synthetic sheets will cause grief to you when you're trying to rip and cut them. Okay, so now we're at the other end. So let me show you how to get into this. You're going to do 2 on this, in this one right here. There's a hole right here. So we're going to go 2 times. This is your first time in that hole. This is how we get around the corners. You have to add stitches as you're going around corners, because you've got to make it all the way around here. So there's 1, and here's still your tail. If you don't make it that long, that's fine. You don't have to work it that long. I just tend to like a fairly long tail. This is the second stitch in the same hole. Okay. Now see, we're going to try to get around over here so we can work down here. So you're going to come over here. Here's the other side. You may have to kind of work this to get the hole here. Find yourself a hole right there. And now we're going to do 2 stitches in that one. So you're going to go into that hole and do exactly the same thing. Here's your first one in this second hole, and another one. Here's going to be your next one. So you're going to do 2 in that hole. I'm going to hold it up and show it to you. So here, we had 2 in this hole and 2 stitches in that hole. We're going to go continue on just 1 more stitch so you can see how it blends in and how we're looking. Now we're going to just continue with this exact same stitch. We still have a tail, which is a mighty long tail. You might not need to make it quite that long. Okay, so now you're working down. Okay, when you get down here, you're going to have to add even more stitches as you come around. It's not always 2 in every hole, but there you go. Now we're going to switch over to a bigger one, and this is the color of my next turtle. So you can see that's a little bit bigger. I left it so I could show you how to work around this a little bit bigger corner so you get a better idea of how to add stitches as you're coming around. And then we're going to add some colors. Okay, so Mr. Cameraman. So we have a stitch there. And see, that doesn't quite go. See how when it's kind of having to pull too much? I'm going to go ahead and add another stitch in there. So there's 2 in that hole. So now we're at this next hole. I'm going to put 1 in and see how we do, if 1's enough. Nope, I don't feel like it's enough, so we're going to go ahead and add another 1, 2 in that hole. Now we're going to go to the next hole. And we're getting ready to add color in a minute. Because there's only 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this one, I'm going to add 2 to each one so it's even. You're going to have to eyeball things and try to get an idea. So here we go. This is the last hole that we're going to put 2 in. Okay. Going to add another stitch or 2 here, and then I'm going to change color and show you how I give that dimension there with a little bit different tones as we go along. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and add this green and white stripe over here because I thought this would be a pretty color to add to this one. So I don't want to make them too big. I'm going to cut off a piece of this sheet yarn. You can do any combination, any size that you want. Mr. Cameraman, I'd like you to stay right here. I'm going to show them how I add this. Here's the color that you're adding. Fold it over. I did a little different slit there. Sometimes I like to do it this way. My friend Rita taught me this. I'm not sure if I love it, and I sometimes forget to do it that way. So I've been sticking with my standard way of teaching you how to do this. This is a thinner strip. It's making it a little bit more difficult to add. Put the new one on top. And guess what? Because I'm not adding it the same way, we're going to cut that off, and we're going to add it the traditional way. Make it easier on us and easier on you to see. So, going to put that on top to add the new color. The other end of the new color will go underneath and feed through. Okay, so let's go ahead and add it and see how that looks. Now you can leave it, I don't always try to write it, but I want more of that color, so I am going to write the color, kind of fold it in half a little bit. And you can see how that looks as you're adding it. Then you'll get an opportunity to see me come around this other corner and how we decide on that one.
That's 17.
Okay. So this one does need a second stitch in here. We're going to see, I think it's far enough over there, so we're not going to add any more. It's going to run me a little short. So we're going to add another color. Go back to the original color. Okay. I put the ends together so it would make it easier for me to find them and not have to switch when we're doing things. So I'm going to add this color, take the two ends, add a little snip. We're going back to the original color. We're going to add it. Okay, see, I'm still thinking I need another one in the same hole, because it's not, you don't always put two in every hole, but so far we have needed to. Okay, this one's only going to have one. Then we're going to put two back in this hole, because we need to have a second one there. So in that very center one, we only put one. Coming around this corner, and I'm going to put two. See how you don't want it to curve up? Two in this one. Okay. So we'll be moving, when you come back, we'll be just a little farther along. See you in a moment. Okay, now we're back. I went ahead and added a second one of this little variation of color so we could see this. But now I want to show you when you come back to the area, so you get, see this look? We've got like, here's two together, and how they're, you can do them anyway. You could do this real small if you wanted. This one had, I decided to do 3 rows and really splash it around. I didn't have a lot of this other color. I was kind of using some of my colors up. I decided I wanted to see what it would look like with some more added to it, and I added a similar color that the feet would be, you know, closer to that. So there's all sorts of ways, and of course you can just leave this solid, but we're showing you how to do the very variegated look. Okay, so we're going to add another color, back to that same color I mean, so instead of breaking up this solid, beautiful green, I'm a green fan, so I just love all these greens. It occurs to me that in case you haven't been to my website in a while, my website is actually ragrugsbyerin.com, where you would find that cherry hook and my crochet pouch and the stitch markers and all my other things, my bags that I carry. Okay, here we go. So we're going to continue on this exact same stitch that you've been doing all the way along, which makes it so nice because you just repeat the stitch. And see, this is going to go into this. I don't want it to just be exactly the same. So you could either start the color back here so it's bigger, or I'm just, because this is a natural place where it happened to finish, I just took advantage of that instead of trimming my fabric, my sheets. So you just work that in. And I want to show you what that looks like. Also, some people want to know where I get my sheets. These are used sheets. So I get most of them from thrift stores, and sometimes from yard sales. Sometimes they're my own. Sometimes they've been donated by other people. Once in a while I get some people that are looking for me where they live, and when they come to visit they bring me some sheets. Of course I pay them for them, but sometimes they get better deals on them than I do. So and here we're coming to this corner again. Let's see. I'm going to go into this corner so I don't start my 2 in the same hole too soon, but I am going to put 2 into this hole. Okay, so this was really, this one's going to be 2 in this hole, but I'm not going to add another color because I don't want to take up your time with that. You've already seen that. So I would go ahead and put 2 right in this hole. Okay, and then I would go ahead and switch right back over to that solid color, even though it's going to start here. So this row is going to be a little smaller than this row was. Okay, and you can do it any way you want. So now we're going to go over and we're going to show you how to finish this rug and then work on the head and the feet and the tail. So I'm going to have to pull out the stitch marker because I had already marked it because I was trying to save you a little time also. And we're going to go ahead and finish this. I like to finish my rugs usually on the arch. It makes it a little better if we're doing an oval rug. I like to somewhere on the arch. So we're going to go ahead and finish this rug. Maybe put another stitch or 2 in here. It might be good to finish it close to where that head is going to be, or the center point possibly, to hide it a little bit. So because you're going to be adding a tail or a head. This is going to be my last stitch because I do not want to make this too short. So when you put in your last stitch, see how you can come on over here and just see. I don't know if you're getting a good look at that. See how that is right there? This is how I finish it. You're going to pull your hook out and you're going to grab your material through it. Okay, the end of your tail. And you're going to cinch it down. Okay, now what you don't want to do is you don't want to pull it back this way. See how that was going to not let it blend? You're going to want to continue to blend it through here. So this is where the tapestry needle comes in play. This is just a really great, see how it has a blunt end here? It's not a sharp end. It's a real nice blunt end. That's the reason why I ended up going to these stitch markers. Before I always used safety pins, which works just fine, but I kept on stabbing myself. And I found these little nifty stitch markers that are basically little safety pins that aren't pointed. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to find a path in here and try to blend it in. So I'm going to reach down. I don't want to go straight down because see if I go like that, it's going to pull it. So I'm going to try to blend it. Sometimes I like to try to blend it along this ridge as well a little bit. Okay, so I did one there, and then I'm going to try to feed it through like this. Okay. Let me go ahead and do a couple more. Kind of find the road of least resistance. Occasionally you find one just won't go through and you have to kind of find a different location. You may come across that. We may yet do one more here. I like to have it far enough along. And I think I'm going to do one final one if I can get it through without a crisis. There we go. I'm doing this all a little hurried because you know, I want to get on to the next thing. So what you do is you pull it a little tight, like that. Get a little tight. You want to make a snip. Careful not to cut anything else. And then you're just going to pull it back and see how it disappears. Okay? So that's how you finish your oval rug. Now, you may want to, this has got a little bit more of a lip than I like, but it's going to work out fine because right here we're going to have 7 stitches is where we're going to do the head. It happened to work out just fine. So let's come out to the other side, Mr. Cameraman, and we're going to talk about how I marked this and how I found it. You don't have to do all of it at one time, but I wanted you to have a real good visual of what it looks like all marked. You may want to do just the head and then just the tail and then look at the feet and see where you want the feet to be. So we're going to show you how I did this. On my first rug, this was actually the color that I wanted to show you. See how that color is going to go? Those are going to be the feet. So can you see that, Mr. Cameraman? I'm going to do the feet and the head and the tail in this green. All right. So the first one I did, the tail I ended up doing a little bit off the center. And if it's tail, that would be kind of normal, that it could be that way. But if you want to do it right in the center, and remember, it's not exact. So here's your center line somewhere in here. This is one of your center rows. What I did is I went ahead and took a ruler, a yardstick rather, and I went down the center. So I marked here, the top head is going to have 7 stitches. Okay, so I marked the very center, and this is the very center. Okay, and then that means that's 1 stitch. And then I marked 3 stitches more on each side. 1, 2, 3. That's where it's going to end. And then you're going to add 3 more stitches this way. 1, 2, 3, and that's where it's going to begin or end. So this will give you the 7 stitches you need for the head or the neck. Okay, so you put that on there. Then we came down here. This is going to require 3 stitches. So here's a center one, and then 1 on each side. Your tail is only going to have 3 stitches attached here. Okay. I kind of just eyeballed. You may decide you like your feet closer up or farther, or you may want to make the leg part just a little bit longer. You can make some adjustments. I'm just going to show you the way I did it, and you can make the adjustments how you want. What I did is I went ahead and attached 2 so you could see how they looked, but then I get a ruler out here, and I went ahead and ran across here and tried to get some semblance of about the same area. Now remember, if his feet were moving, he might have 1 down here and 1 up here. Some of you are more creative than others, or more willing for things not to be exactly even, and I tend to be that way myself because I think that it looks more natural, but some of you want things absolutely exactly, you know, across this. So I'm going to show you how to have it more exact, and then you can adjust if you want to. So I ran across here, and these are all 4 stitches, okay? So you mark 1 place, and then you count over. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So each one of these feet, you know, you just find where you're going to want the tops of them, and then you just count down 4, or where you're going to find the bottoms of them and count up 4. So these are all 4 stitches, and that's how wide your feet are going to be. We're going to go ahead and work a foot first. Okay? Here's a couple feet that are already completed. Okay. I happen to know that 3 pieces of this material, this I think I know, are going to make it. I'm not going to stop and add more material. just going to go ahead and get this started and attached for you and show you how to do the feet. So again, you're going to want to do, just like you started your rug, you're going to want to do a slip knot. You're going to take the long end, cross over, and feed it through. Do I need to do that again, Mr. Cameraman?
No.
Okay. You might not need to have the tail quite that long, but I'd always rather have it be a little bit too long. Remember, you have the tail, well, in this case, I actually did the tail over here. And let me show you how I did that. Now you're going to want to start all of your feet, all of your head, all the parts of the body on the same side. Start them in the same side. Don't flip back and forth. We will be flipping back and forth as we do the rows, but please start them all on the same side. So we're going to start right here. That's where the first stitch is going to be, and I'm going to show you how to get it started. You're going to have your sheet yarn on here. You're going to slip into this hole. Now I kind of get that up there, and I'm going to grab this long tail and pull it through. Okay. Pull it a little closer to me so I can move a little better. Hopefully Mr. Lau can get this. So then you're going to cross over, and we're still going to just do single crochets, but that's how we got it attached. Going to cross over, and this isn't really a single crochet. You're just going to cross over and pull it off. Okay, that's how you do the first stitch to start it off with. Then we're going to blend this in just like we did on the original part. Okay, so we're going to do three more single crochets. We're going to count this as a single crochet. So you're going to go into that hole, grab your material, cross over, and pull them both off. Going to do that 2 more times for the attaching that foot. Now we're at the last stitch marker because we wanted 4 stitches. Going to do it the 4th time. Remember, just keeping this tail kind of hidden and blending it in. Cross it over, pull it off. So you've got 4 stitches, one that was kind of just the attachment stitch and 3 other ones. What I do is I pull this up a little bit and I take the tail and I feed it through that hole where my crochet hook was. Stick my hook back in, and now we're going to do 1 chain stitch because we want to move up to the next level. This was 1 chain stitch. You're going to flip it over. We're going to do another row of 4. And the reason why I fed that tail through is, see, now we're still hiding it, and it's right where it needs to be. Okay? It's important to see where the first stitch is going to go. See, this was the chain up that we did, and here's where the very first stitch is going to go, right in there. Okay? You may have to push that over there so you can grab it from that side. You're going to go into this hole, still a single crochet, grab your material, both of them there, and pull it off. There's the first stitch. You're going to do a total of 4. 2, 3, 'kay. Here we go. Find a hole. Push it in. Grab your sheet yarn. Pull it through. That was your 4th stitch. Okay, so there's 4 stitches. That's the little leg part. Again, you're going to pull off your hook. If you happen to have a tail still left. If you don't, it's not a big deal. You don't need to start again. If you happen to have a tail still left, that's where you're going to do. Now you're going to do 1 more stitch into this hole. Okay? So you're going to do 2 stitches. So you did the 4 to go across, and this is going to help you the flaring part of the foot. So there was 2 in that same hole. Okay? Now you're going to do 1 chain stitch to go to the next level. Okay? See how it's starting to flare there? You did 2 in this last hole. So you did 4 and then 1 additional one in that same hole. You're going to do 1 chain stitch just like we did. You're going to flip it over again because we're doing the runner stitch where we flip it back and forth if you've seen some of my other videos. Okay, now we're going to come across. Here's that you're going to hide, but you're not quite there yet. Here's going to be your first hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes that you're going to use. Okay? Because you did 2 in that hole. So you're going to first stitch. Remember, we're still blending that if you happen to have it. If you don't, you're fine. You don't have to have it. I just tend to make my tails long. We're getting close to being done with the foot. Stitch 3. I'm coming to the end of my little tail. Stitch 4. Now here is your 5th hole. You're going to go into this 5th hole. Okay, now we're going to do 3 stitches in this hole. We did 2 in that one. We're going to do 3 in this one. Okay? So we did 1. I'm going to go back in. 2. And guess what? I don't have long enough material. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more material. No big deal. Have it all sitting here ready in case. Fold that one, make a little snip. So I knew you would get to see several of these. Here I'm adding it. Here's the piece I'm adding. I'm putting it on top. The other end of the piece I'm adding, I'm putting it on the bottom. And I'm going to feed that through. What I think I did is I grabbed, that was the tail piece, and this was supposed to be the foot piece. So, no problem. There we go. So I've added more material.
Okay, 17.
There's 2 stitches in there. And we're going to do the 3rd stitch in that same hole. Okay. So we had 2 stitches in that end. We're doing 3 stitches. We have 1 more row to go. So you're going to chain up 1, do 1 chain just like we did before, and we're going to flip 1 more time on this foot. There's a total of 4 rows. It started with 4 stitches, and there's a total of 4 rows. Okay, we're going to go into your first hole, is right here. Separate that there. See it? You're still going to do single crochets all the way across. 1. It's your second hole. 2. 3. 4. Now see, one of the reasons why I like this hook, and you'll notice, let me show you this, and this is why I like the hook. See how this has got a long throat here, but it still has a place for me to set. A lot of hooks that have these nice thicker handles, this is a very short throat. I use that throat continually by sliding that in like that, and that helps it to regulate it to keep the stitches from getting too tight, because I tend to crochet too tight. And that's why I had this hook designed for me. So that is the reason, as opposed to just any one with a thicker hook, I mean a thicker handle. That is one of the main reasons. And this cherry wood just gets slicker and slicker the more you use it. It slides really nice. So, and it's a really lightweight hook too. Okay, so we're going to come here to the end. Going to do just one more final in this end, and I'll show you how to end it. Okay, so here's your little foot, and we're going to snip it off. I'll make it long enough. Remember how I did it on the other one? I pulled it out. and slid that through that hole. And see, again, you don't want to go like that when you're trying to blend it. You're going to want to blend it down into the rug. So then I'm putting the tapestry needle back on. This is a number 13 tapestry needle, by the way. I also bought 16, but I like the 13 better. So if you have a choice between a 16 and a 13, I would get a 13. And we're going to then feed it in okay, then you would continue to feed it in just like we did when we finished the other one, when we finished the yellow, and snip it off and give it a tug. So there you have it, and we'll be back in just a moment and we'll do the tail and the head. Thank you. Okay, let's jump right into the tail. So you can see that we finished 3 feet, and this is where your head would go, and now this is where your tail is going to go. So let's go ahead and start working on that. Remember I told you it was going to be 3 stitches, so you have 1, 2, 3, and I marked it at the beginning and the end. We're going to again do your slip stitch. We're going to cross over, slip knot, and you're going to pull it through. Start it the same way the other ones did. Usually I keep this in my hand, but when I'm attaching it, I'm going to try to hide it again. So there's where you're going to start. I just took out the chain stitch marker. You're going to put into that hole with it on your material, your sheet yarn on there, and you're going to grab your sheet yarn through that and through your hole. This is how you attach, and you're going to pretend that's 1 chain stitch. Remember, you're going to be hiding this, so you're going to be laying it flat across there. You're going to do a total of 3 stitches, including this one. That was 1, 2. I'm going to take this out, the third one. This is a real quick little thing to do. There's your 3rd stitch. We're going to do what we did on the other one, where I went ahead and pulled this up, fed your tail through where your hook was, so that way it can be hidden again. Put your hook back in there. You're going to do 1 chain stitch up, just like we did on the other one, to move to the next level. You're going to flip your work. You're going to do 3 more chain stitches, hiding this material. Your first hole, let's see if it's 3. I might have misspoke. I'm going to go into that hole, 1, pull them both off, and 2. I guess I only did 2. Huh, sorry about that. So 2 stitches go in there. Going to pull that up like we did, still hiding the tail if you happen to have it. Pull that through, put your hook back in. Going to do 1 chain stitch to make it to the next level. Flip it. And we're going to do 2 more chain stitches. 2 more, single crochet. There's your first hole. Still hiding your tail. Your second hole. Okay, if you happen to have it, take your hook out, slide it through, put your hook back in, tighten it down. Going to do 1 chain stitch. Going to flip it over and do 1 more final stitch. Okay, so you're still hiding that. And here's your, I'm going to skip this hole right here. I'm going to go right over here to this last and do 1 more stitch to kind of blunt it off a little bit. See how it kind of brings it to like a little nub? And now I happen to have some left over. I'm going to push this back close and trim off that tail of the original. Didn't do as good of a job as I probably should have, so I'm going to pull that a little tighter so it will hide it. And there it goes, it's back in there. So we're going to do exactly like we did on the other. We've ended up using the tapestry needle. You pull this out and you pull your material through. This is way longer than it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it in just a moment. And remember, we're going to work it on down there. I'm going to trim. Here's my tapestry needle. Going to do this fairly quickly so we don't waste too much time. Bore you. Want to give you enough information without making you crazy. And we're going to find a place to work it in. And again, you're going to work it along in here. Trim it off just like you did the other ones. Okay, when you're back, we'll start the head and the neck. Okay. Okay, we're back. So you can see that we've completed your little tail, and we're going to jump right into the head. So it's going to be 7 stitches across. You can see I marked the center point, and then 3 out from that. 1, 2, 3. I marked the other one, and 1, 2, 3. I marked the other, giving you a total of 7 stitches. So remember, we're always going to maintain the same side as where we're going to start, and we're going to go ahead and do another slip stitch or slip knot, and you're going to cross over with a long piece, pull it through, and grab your hook, and see 1, 2, 3 is where we're going to start. You're going to go into that hole. You're going to grab your material and pretend this is your first single crochet. Use it as a single crochet. That's how we attach it. Remember, we're going to be trying to hide this, and it also helps hide that knot. Okay. And we're going to do our 7 stitches across here. We can actually take this off because the final one was marked as 7. We don't need to know the center point anymore. And you're going to move along. Since we've done this repeatedly, I'm going to move a little quicker and not go into it over and over again. But you see how we're kind of hiding that knot there? Okay. That's the original one. 2 more. 3. 4. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought I miscounted because you're going to want 7 stitches. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to show you we did the same thing that we did all the other ones. We pull this up. We're hiding this. Slide it through there. Tighten it back down just like we did the feet and the tail. Do 1 chain stitch up. We're not adding any stitches for 4 rows. Okay, so I'm going to show you and go up 1 more, and then I'm going to go back, come back once we've gone a little higher, so you're not watching every stitch. Okay, so after you did that 1 chain stitch up, we're going to go into all these holes. Go all the way across, still continuing to hide. This is your 2nd row of the neck. You're going to do a total of 4 rows of the neck. We'll come back on the 4th row, and I'll show you finishing that 4th row up and how to work from there. So you come across here on the 2nd row to show you one more time how you move up. You're on your last one. You're making that one right there. Now because there's not much of this left, I'm going to go ahead and snip it here. I'm not going to feed it back through that like I have done on the other ones. I'm going to pull it tight so it will hide, trim it off, and then it will disappear. Okay, so right here is where we would have taken it out, put that tail in, but we're not going to have to do that. So we're just going to do one chain stitch up and flip it. And you're going to, that was the second row, you're going to do a third row and a fourth row. I'll come back in just a moment and show you that part. Thank you. Okay, so we completed the third row and we did the one chain stitch and we flipped, and I'm going to show you something because I probably should have shown you the hole to go in to make it a little clearer so you keep this straight. I'm going to show you the fourth row. So here's where you're going to do it in every time you move up. This is going to be the stitch, the hole you're going to use. See, here's your chain stitch. It goes right in here. So I'm going to quickly go across here because I wanted you to see that. Because that, when people are doing a run or a rug, tends to throw them off. And they wonder why they're losing or gaining. That is a place that is a big mistake for people. It's not hard to do the runner part of it, but if you miss that one key thing, it makes it difficult. So we're going to come to the end, and how we did on the foot, we had to make a little bit of a jog to make it bigger. So we're going to do that the exact same way that we did on the foot, but I'm going to redo it again just so you know. We're going to go into this last hole. See how this is the last hole? We're going to do 2 stitches in that last hole. So you're going to go in the first time. Okay. The second time. And then we're going to do 1 chain stitch up. And flip it. See how it's a little wider there? Make sure you get it in the correct hole so we have enough stitches to make this now wider. So you're going to go in here. You're making it wider. Going to go all the way across, and in the very last hole you're going to do 3 just like you did on the foot. You're going to do 3 more. So you're coming all the way across, still doing just single crochets. See how I use that throat on this hook to push it down? If you have just a regular hook, you can do the same thing, but if you're looking for something to set better in your hand that's bigger and fits better, most of them have a short neck there. So that's the last hole. We're going to do 3 in there. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going to move up. Do the same thing we did in the other ones. We had 2 at the, when we ended that one, we do 3 here. Now the rest of these are all going to be the same length. We're going to do 6 total. So this is 1. Going to do 1 chain stitch to move up. You're going to flip it. And now you're going to keep these all the same length. So let me show you how to get into that hole where you're going to be. This is your second row. And you're going to do just like the neck now. You're going to keep these all the same length. We're not going to add any at the end. You're just going to move up. So we're going to get to the end, show you how to move up, and you're going to do a total of 6 rows here. Okay, this is your second row of the head part. The other part was the neck. This is the head. I'm moving along quickly. Actually, I don't crochet a lot of times as quick as this because I do it because I enjoy it. When I teach you, it's a little different thing. Some of you really like to crochet quick. Make sure you get this last hole. That's why I'm showing you. This last hole to keep it the same length. Okay, you're going to move up and start row 3. You're going to come back on row 6 and we'll show you how to finish it. Okay, we're back. We did the 4 for the neck, and we did 6 rows here for the head part of it, and we're going to go into the last hole. And we're going to chain up, flip again, just like every other time when we get to the end of the row, we chain up, and we flip it again. This is where we're going to use the tapering part. There's where you would have gone on if we were just making it going up to the same. We're going to taper it, so we're going to go in and start pulling it in farther like this. Okay, so we're going to go over to the 3rd hole. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3, the 3rd hole. You could do the 2nd hole if you wanted to attempt it that way and make it not so severe. You're going to go in and still do the same stitch, but you're doing it in the 3rd hole from the beginning. You're going to go across, just like you did all the other rows, but now we're starting to decrease to give you that rounded effect on your turtle head. If you want it more like a beak, you could do it not so severe and do it 2 at a time. You could try it and practice some different things, but you would just decrease 2 if you were going for a little bit different look there. I'm not going to go now to that very last hole there. See how that's where I would have gone? So we're going to chain up and we're going to flip it. So we're on a decreasing row. That was a decreasing row after your 6. And we're going to again go over 3. There's 1, 2, 3. Go into the 3rd hole because we're trying to give it that rounded look. Continue just to single crochet over. This is your 2nd row of decreasing. We're going to use this as your last hole here because you can see how it's starting to round. Again, we're going to chain up. This will be our final row unless you were going for more of a beak, which I did on my first one, and I like that look. So there's nothing wrong. I'm just trying to hurry, and I've got my sheet yarn in a different direction. Okay, so we chained up, and again, we're not going to go into that first hole. We're going to skip over. There's 1, 2, 3. Going to skip over to the 3rd. Make sure you pull it tight enough. And here we go. We just did a couple of them. And there's the more rounded effect. Okay, you might want to pull it out like this. You could do some different variations on arching it. If you don't want to do 3, you could just do 2, give you a little different look. And you're going to do the same thing you did before. You're going to pull it through here, tighten it down, and then you're going to pull it in and work your thread and finish it. So that would be how you finish it, just like we did on the feet, the body, and the tail. The same thing. So here is, I just need to add 1 more foot and I'll have another finished product. So I hope you enjoyed this, and go back to my website or to YouTube to see other videos that I've made, and I hope you found this helpful and informative, and that you're going to have a great time making this great turtle rug. Thank you.